Hello, welcome to a rather festive edition of the Record Celtic podcast. My name is Daniel Cott. I'm delighted to be joined by the one and only Michael Gannon. Mick, how are you?
Not bad, sir. How's yourself? Season's greetings and all that.
No, I know. I can't believe it's Christmas already.
I've been greeting this season.
It has been. It's been a pretty wild year, particularly for Celtic.
Exhausting.
All your Christmas shopping done?
Pretty much sorted. Yeah, it's been a difficult balancing act. The game's been coming thick and fast, so try to combine two games every 2 or 3 days, plus pantos and Christmas shows and nativity plays and all that stuff. It's been a very busy kind of month, hasn't it? And show no signs of abating anytime soon either. But that's been good. It's been good. We're all sorted, I think.
One game, Mick, that I know you were at, that I didn't have the pleasure of going to, but Celtic Aberdeen. Finally, Mick, a win for Wilfried Nancy. And you know, aside from anything else, aside from a crucial 3 points, I was just glad on a human level for Wilfried Nancy. He really needed that.
Yeah, I mean, he badly needed to get a win. I think another defeat, I don't know where it goes from that point. I mean, the pressure would have been, immense on him. Yes, I think probably a bit of relief for him to get the result. But I think not just the result. I think the result in isolation was decent. I think the performance, though, I think Wilfried Nancy's got a long way back still. He got a lot of doubters to win over. Yeah. But I think we did see some kind of, I wouldn't say green shoots of recovery, but I think we did see some signs that his ideas are starting to take hold, some positivity. Listen, when any game when you get 31 shots in goal, hit the woodwork 4 or 5 times.
It was crazy at one point. It was really mad.
Some of the kind of combination plays were really good. I thought there were some signs of real positivity going forward. At the same time, I still think there's still concerns over the way they're playing. Listen, we know there's concerns about the personnel. We know that there's gaps in the squad in terms of quality. Some of them are blatantly obvious now, what they need to do in terms of transfers. But for the manager, I think it was a day when people maybe could start seeing things that, okay, this might be a wee vision of what's to come. People keep drawing the kind of the Ange Postecoglou parallels and his kind of 3 defeats out of 6 when he first started. And you look back, but that early reign, there was periods of games, especially at home. I think they won 6-0 at one point against the Dundee. Yeah. And people thought, you know what, I can see what he's going to do here. This might be quick. This might be exciting. It bought him a wee bit more kind of time. Don't get me wrong. He went to Aberdeen in Game 7, and the talk was he could be in big bother if he didn't win it. But he did scrape a win and then went from there. Will that happen with Wilfried Nancy? It won't in the short term until there's recruitment is done. Because this Celtic team are not going to win 4, 5, 6 games in a row. They're not. This current squad are not built to do that. It was. I think for supporters to see something that they can walk away from the game, having enjoyed the game. All right, listen, it was a late win in the circumstances, which was probably it shouldn't have been. It should have been a 5 or 6-0 job. But people walked away thinking, you know what, that was quite good fun. It was very attacking, quite swashbuckling, some good combinations. Okay, maybe the manager's got something. Maybe this is a bit more of his vision. You can see a bit more structure in the performance, a bit more organisation, people knowing their jobs. Yeah. There are still moments that I think we'll get into in a minute that I think that isn't actually a structural problem as such, but it might be an individual problem making decisions within the structure because I'm not confident in it yet, making bad decisions. So I think that is reflecting badly on the manager because it's their mistakes and people going, it's a system. But it's not. It's an individual mistake within the system that could work without that mistake. So I'll get to that in a minute. As I say, we'll probably dive into that, the defensive stuff. But I think it was a positive weekend for him. He looked a bit relieved. He sounded kind of a bit flat on the radio, but he came in with us in the press room. I thought he was quite upbeat and quite good form. He spoke well. We've seen the stuff on the website and on the print. It was quite good. I thought. He had a bit of a jokey moment when we asked him about having a bit of bad luck. He said, "Don't believe in luck," but I've had absolutely none of it. He was kind of right, wasn't he? Because he has had this stinking of misfortune in his first few weeks. But I wouldn't say it's lift off, but it's definitely a kind of a platform for him. But he's got to go and build on it now, hasn't he?
Well, look, as I say, you were there, mate. I watched it in Celtic TV, and see for anyone that didn't watch it, Dimitar Mitov in the Aberdeen goal was, I thought, remarkable. 3 or 4 of the saves he pulled off, and as you say, I mean, it was 4 or 5 times Celtic hit the post and bar. It could have been. I mean, it's not. I know people say stuff like this a lot, and it sounds like exaggeration. It could have been double figures, honestly, if Celtic on another day. However, you mentioned the defence there. I'm still not 100% convinced that this long term is going to work. I mean, Aberdeen got the equaliser. I've still seen the Celtic centre backs pushed up so high, and I was watching it and thinking, if this wasn't against Aberdeen, who had 10 men for the second half, Celtic could get really punished against superior teams.
Yeah, but this is what I was hinting about earlier on, right? I mean, yeah, it is high risk. I mean, there's no doubt about it. If you're committing that many bodies forward, including 2 or 3 centre backs, or one of them, usually it's one of them rather than 2 of them.
Aye.
It does, introduce an element of risk, because one ball can knock out your entire team practically. And listen, it doesn't half leave something like Austin Trusty. I mean, what a shift he's got to put in. I thought he was really good on Sunday.
Yeah.
Having to make some mad dashes back and clearing up, but I thought he did it quite well. But so it's a lot of stress on that position. If you're the backsy in this setup, it's, I don't know if that's to an old reference for you.
Oh no, I'm with you.
When we played in the park, you would have a backsy. I was always a backsy, unfortunately, because I wasn't really good as a goalie. But if you're the backsy, it's a heck of a shift. But in terms of the goal, see, if you look at the goal, right, there's a kind of wee skirmish middle of the park, and Dyson Maida wins the ball, but kind of loses his footing, and Liam Scales gambles and goes beyond that kind of breakdown to go and attack, which I've no doubt he's told that when Celtic win the ball, he's got to get himself forward. If he's in that role, got to get himself forward. But you've got to do it at a time when you have got the ball. At that point in time, the ball hadn't been cleanly won. It had been won initially, but then it kind of recycled, and it was still it fought against it. And I think Maida lost his footing, and it meant that the gap appeared because Scales had gone beyond, and then the ball put him behind, and then Trusty's left with that foot race, and he's not going to win it. But if Scales in that position, they had originally cut it out or denied that ball to be on. Mm-hmm. So what I don't know is what I suspect is that's an individual decision that Scales made at that point in time to go and bomb on, because the instruction is, if we win the ball, you get yourself outside, give them the option right, which is where they want to play. If they don't have the ball, you can't do that because you're risking it. So listen, by the way, he could lose the ball 2 seconds later and it's still the same problem. But I think he might have jumped a wee bit too soon and left that area. But he in his mind, he's thinking, I'm told, we win the ball, I go. So in the first instance, they win the ball, he goes, but the ball wasn't really won. It hadn't even fully won. And then he's out of position, and then the goal comes. So that's, I don't know if that's a system issue or individual issue, a bit of both. It's probably a bit of both. It's a guy who's maybe not quite got nailed down the constructions just quite yet, or just simply made a bad decision, or he's told that if they even have a chance to get forward. I don't know, but that's. I wouldn't be battering the manager over that one. I think it might have been someone who's keen. By the way, I don't think you can be pointing fingers at Liam Scales this season. I think he's been tremendous. A really solid guy in the team. I think it might just have been a moment when he's this period of adapting to the new setup. He got a wee bit too keen, and it caught out. But as a setup, that is going to be that because you can lose a ball at any point in time. So if someone's in the middle of the park with a ball and lose possession, and you've got your centre half who's galloping, it is going to create a problem occasionally. That is going to be an issue. But if Celtic are going to create 30 chances a game,
true,
because they might win 3-2, 4-3. Listen, this is a variation of kind of Ange Postecoglou wasn't that different. He didn't go with the 3 centre backs and the centre backs pushing on, but he had these full backs coming into the middle of the park. He liked his centre halves to have the ball and step in as well. So it's not that far. I mean, quite often Ange left guys 1-for-1 at the back. I think Carter Vickers was a good component in that as well, because he could step into the midfield and pick a pass, but he could also sit deep and read the game so well that he cut out a lot of the danger before it was even manifesting.
He would stop attacks before they were attacks. Almost.
Exactly. So he could be the backsy and read the danger before it became really damaging. So again, that's personnel. That's a Celtic personnel. I mean, not just having to go with Tony Ralston as right centre back, being trusted through the middle. And I think Kieran Tierney in that role, I think he's been good.
I agree. I think Tierney's been really good the last couple of weeks.
He's had goals and assists, and he's defended well. I think that's role we could. He did it with Scotland for years. I think that could be a real good role for him. The only thing is it's a hard shift, but I think him getting through nearly 90 minutes again in these games is a positive. I just think that his personnel in there as well might help getting a right-sided centre half who's a bit more mobile and a bit more cool on the ball might help. I think Tony Ralston is again another guy. You can't fault him for putting a shift in.
Aye.
But I don't think he's the right centre back in this setup. And I'm also wary defensively with Celtic. When it comes to, I still think set pieces are a major problem. I don't think every time there's a dead ball, Celtic look as though they're in danger of conceding. There's not enough height in the team. I see there's a wee shift. Listen, I don't want to go hipstery here. I've got a bit of a beard going on, but I don't want to go hipstery. It did look a bit more zonal against Aberdeen. And I was noticing that Trusty and Scales were on the 6-yard box a couple of times at corner kicks, unlike at Hampden the previous week when the two were at the penalty spot.
Aye.
Getting dragged out by their men that they were marking, and it left Hatate with Marcus Fraser, who's strong in the air, which I thought was bizarre. Tannadice, I thought was a bit of a step towards a different way of doing it. And I thought on Saturday there was more back to more zonal. Again, Celtic lacking in height. And at set pieces, if you go man for man at set pieces when you're lacking in height, if you're up against a team like St Mirren, Dundee United, Livingston, as we'll get to, you're going to be the man you're marking is going to be bigger than you.
You're playing into their hands.
So you're going to be second favourite every time there's a ball in the box. So you've not really got a goalkeeper who likes to come and take crosses either. I mean, Kasper Schmeichel, I think, is a cracking keeper, but I don't think he's a guy who likes to come and take balls. I mean, you don't see him 6-7 yards out plucking balls at the sky very much. He's more. He likes to kind of. And it happens. Older goalkeepers tend to get regress and stay on the line more. But that's another issue because you're not getting that release of knowing that if a ball comes 6 yards out, your goalie's coming and taking everything out with them. So set pieces, I think, are still an issue for Nancy. But I've seen signs of work getting done there at the weekend as well, which is another kind of step in the right direction. But yeah, there's still a lot of work required in this Celtic team to make it a team that can go 8, 9, 10 wins in a row, which is required. I think they're still a way off that yet.
Yeah. Well, two players, Mick, from the weekend that I wanted to get your take on. Kasper Schmeichel is one. I'll come to him in a wee second. But James Forrest, 17 seasons in a row. He's scored now as a Celtic player. And when I actually heard that, I thought, that can't be right. 17? I mean, that is insane. I spent, with a quiet afternoon yesterday in Record Sport, spent my day doing up a James Forrest graphic. That took me ages. So if James is watching, there you go. You can have that for free. But where does he...
You're wasting your time. He's barely changed in 17 years.
I know.
You could just cut and paste the same picture each year.
There's one of them in the top left corner there from 2008. And
that's the one,
that's the one that looks young, but any of them could have been for last week.
He's a wee beardy now, but that's about it. But he's not changed much in 17 years.
Where does he... I mean, look, I'm no for a second saying he's got up there with the Lisbon Lions and everything, but he is, in my book, a genuine modern day Celtic legend.
Yeah, listen, absolutely. Listen, I mean, yes, he's 17 years is incredible in longevity. I mean, I know in recent years he's had spells out and injured, but he's always contributed. Big moments. I mean, he scored in 3 consecutive League Cup semi-finals. He scored in derbies. He scored in Europe, big European goals, Champions League qualifiers. I mean, he came back into the team late on in Brendan Rodgers' first season back and had a major impact in getting them over the line that season. A genuine Celtic. I mean, I'm glad that in his latter years he's got the recognition that he deserved. I think for too many years it's familiarity breeds contempt. Sometimes people are James Forrest and all that, but I think in latter years people realise that a succession of top Celtic managers all took to James and played him and used him when they needed to, and never let them down. Yeah. And I think the last game of last season I thought was just I was chuffed for him because I haven't got to know him over the years. He's one of the good guys in the game, really is.
Just a good guy.
To get his moment in the sun like that, I thought it was just, sometimes football can throw up these kind of poetic kind of moments and kind of cinematic moments, didn't they? And to score with the last kick of the season to get that consecutive goal, I thought was just a brilliant moment for him. We James is a gem. I think I've told this story before. He's just, and it sums him up. He's from in Scotland. I think we're out in Albania. I mean, somewhere in deepest, darkest Albania. Kind of skiing. I can't remember the place it was called. Northern Albania, and he scored a double, and he's man of the match. And he played so well. He's clearly got drug tested. Obviously, they're thinking there's some sort of performance-enhancing drugs going on there. So he's the last man at the changing room. So we need to talk to him. We're all in the kind of mix zone area. We need to talk to the players, and he's the last one. So we need to talk to him. He's man of the match. He's been brilliant. So we're all hanging about. So the rest of the team are on the bus, and me, James, saunters out. Quite a thing. I mean, no airs or graces. He's like, right, boys. And he kind of walks past us all. And you're like, oh, where are you going? You're like, you don't talk to us. Oh, he's want to talk to me? I'm like, yes, we want to talk to you. Like, you're literally holding the man of the match award. You're the hero of the night. Aye. He's just so unassuming, and like, he's no ego. I mean, genuinely one of the most down to earth guys you could meet. A real good egg, and a real good. I mean, everyone you speak to around the club, a real good team player. I mean, he's not played. He's not a regular starter for the last kind of 3-4 years, probably. Maybe long. He even got back beyond that, probably.
Yeah, probably.
He's probably not been an actual regular. I mean, start this season, started most of the first games of the season because he actually had to, but he's not been regarded as a first choice player for Celtic probably since about 2018 or something, 2019. But he's always been an impact sub, always been a guy that came into games and an impact and play for the cause, and he's still doing it at 34. And the goal, I thought his goal at the weekend was another important goal. I mean, I think he's now got that 17 seasons in a row, which is nice for him to get that record. But it's important at the time. I mean, even at 2-1, get that. I think the game was done at 2-1 in fairness, but to get the clincher just to make sure was obviously an important moment as well. And I'm glad for him. That's something. I mean, he got a bit snatchy with his chances towards the end of last season. I know last season was weird because the season was finished at Christmas time. And he got back from injury. It was all about get James' goal. It got a bit frantic. People actually getting a bit ridiculous. Whereas that won't happen this season. Mind you, in fairness, I think there's bigger issues at play this season than getting Operation Get James a goal. It's Operation this squad. So I think James's goal is falling down the pecking order for this season. He got it early, and I was pleased for him because he's one of the nicest guys in Scottish football, genuinely.
What about Kasper Schmeichel then, Mick? I mean, it's been something among the Celtic fans. It's been a talking point for a while. And look, I know social media is far from the be-all and end-all. Yeah. It's been getting a lot of stick there for a while. Do you think we're getting towards a time where perhaps it's a chance for him to be phased out of the starting 11?
Do you know what? Listen, you're kind of loath to kind of be too critical because I think he's been a great signing. I thought last season he was terrific. But I definitely think there's been a bit of a drop-off since his injury with Denmark. I don't think he's been quite the same since he come back from his shoulder injury with Denmark. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there was the mistake in the cup final, which proved to be pretty catastrophic. Yeah. I don't think he's a guy. He's not making like massive blunders. I just think there is signs that as I mentioned earlier on, that the kind of coming for cross balls is an issue with Celtic because they haven't got the height and the team, so they could really do with a big lump and goal coming and cleaning things out at times. Distribution's got a wee bit wavered this year at times. Again, I think I feel from a wee bit because he's been caught between kind of styles of play that they had the kind of, for a while the Celtic were desperate to get the ball out quick as possible, and it's almost a frantic. You see it with Joe Hart as well, almost like a frantic desperation to get out, goal kicks and ball in hand. And rushing, and but then I think at times under Martin Neal they step back and it was like, okay, this team we don't need to play the ball and play all the match because this team it's not strong enough to do that. So that changed, and he's back to being hurrying up again. So I think it seems to me sometimes a wee bit too rushed. He's getting the ball out, which is, I think maybe comes from instructions, which has not helped him. So I think the distribution's been a wee bit wayward this year, which is usually his strength. That's why that's one of the big things when he signed his ability of the ball, his feet. So that's been a wee bit wayward. I think there has been some signs of struggling a wee bit. I think the goal at the weekend, I mean, when you see it at certain angles, you think, well, maybe he could have done a bit better with it. But then you look at it from kind of behind. He's quite close in, and it's low. It's in that awkward area. With Peak Schmeichel, with sticking out a big leg and starfishing style and blocking that, maybe.
I thought it was a bit harsh, Mick, to give him.
I think that was harsh as well. But I do think that I think it's right. I think it's right to ask the question. I don't think having a vintage campaign so far. There's been a few moments you think could have done a wee bit better with that. I think people have been hypercritical. I mean, there are people talking about the goal at Tannadice, and saying there was a goal with the wrong hand and all that stuff. Is that because you showed? But that's the way goalkeepers in the modern age go. I mean, listen, as a failed former goalie myself, I was always taught to go with the inside arm when you're trying to save. But the modern thinking is that you get more apparently from the arm above that. I was also you can't reach with that arm, but
that's what I know. But when I saw that goal at Tannadice, I thought to myself, why is he going with the right arm?
They all do it. We saw the Man U goal at the weekend as well. The exact same thing. They all do it. It's a modern teaching. The modern way is that you go. The theory is you can get more height from when I was in the 90s, back in my days when I was a contender. When I was a young prospect, I was always taught you go with the inside arm, the lower
arm,
rather than the outside. So that's not a Kasper Schmeichel thing. That's a modern goalkeeping thing. They all do it. They all do that. So it's a wee bit alien to the guys from my generation. So I don't know, but I think so. So some of the criticism I think has been over the top, and a lot of things have been this season over the top. I think he still has the ability to make big saves at big moments, and he's a big character in the dressing room. But I do think that you can ask the question, and it's something that might become more of an issue as we go on in the season. I think he's also not helped the fact that I think Sinisalo in the background has been pretty good when he's come in. He's looked the part.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
So it does feel like he's got someone breathing down his neck. If he didn't have that, I don't think there'd be as many questions. I think Celtic have got a myriad of problems to deal with, but I don't think the goalkeeper is towards the top of the list. Maybe on the list, but not at the top of the list.
Yeah. Well, talking about lists, you saw anyone watching this on YouTube will have seen my James Forrest picture. Can now see what I did the rest of the day yesterday, an AI image of Wilfried Nancy unwrapping his Christmas present. And that brings us, Mick, to the January transfer window. You would like to think the Celtic board, the Celtic recruitment team, Paul Tisdale, whoever it is, has got at least one or two lined up. We saw news yesterday that Andrei Ilic of Union Berlin, 25-year-old striker, he's the latest one to be linked. You said yourself at Parkhead after the Aberdeen game, never seen a team so crying out for a striker, a goal scorer like this team.
Absolutely. That little AI picture there, that wee box doesn't look as though it's holding a 6'2", 13.5 stone, 10.5 second, 100 metre striker in there, is there?
Sadly not.
Celtic, I mean, absolutely crying out for a proper goal scoring striker. I mean, with a bit of presence. I mean, I've never seen a team needing it more.
No, me neither. I know it's mad. It's mad.
I mean, I said no harm to Johnny Kenny, but I mean, I just don't think he's up to that level right now. I just don't. I've said it before.
I think as well, Mick. I think the chances that he missed again, obviously Tannadice and then against Aberdeen. Once against Aberdeen, the camera cut up close to him, and he just looks like he's destroyed at the minute. His confidence is through the floor.
Confidence is shot. Listen, it happened in the European games, at the Braga game as well. We missed a load. Stum Graz, sorry. Missed a barload chance as well at night.
Stum Graz it was.
It was Stum Graz. But so listen, he's managed to get a few goals. But listen, I just don't think I think he could probably do a job for some teams in the top flight, maybe in Scotland. But I think Celtic need a bit more. Dyson Maeda, I think he did a great purple patch through the middle last season. Also misses too many chances for a striker.
Yeah.
More effective out in the flank because he can create. and score a goal when there's a bit less. They won't tend to get the kind of running through on goal. No, I mean, no offense, guys, me running through on goal, and if your life depends on it, I think you're hiding behind the couch.
Exactly.
You're not phoning the mortgage advisor to put the mortgage on the back of your net. But that's just that's enough for the smooth. We get with Dyson Maida. It brings so much else to the team as well. And then you've got Kelechi Iheanacho, who's as a quality player, can't argue with his level of quality. Anytime he's played, he's looked good, but he's unreliable in terms of fitness. He came.
Hamstrings are made out of hula hoops.
Well, listen, he's a guy who's not had an awful lot of football in the last couple of years. Arrived having not played much football, was chucked in. I feel for him because he was chucked in at the deep end because he needed to play him. I mean, you do that with a guy who's not played much, you're risking injury, he gets it, then he's rushed back because they need to play him and it ends again. So I've got a degree of sympathy with him, for him. But
a quality player, I mean, really quality player.
That's what you're going to get. And unfortunately for him, he looks like a guy, he's 29, but he kind of looks like a guy who's got more miles on the clock. He looks like a 35-year-old striker than a 29-year-old striker.
Aye.
So he's not going to cut it. So I think they need 2 strikers in January. And one needs... Listen, it's not easy, but Celtic have had 12 months to get a striker. Kyogo left in January, and the plan then was to get a striker and didn't do it. All summer, no striker arrived in the door. Sell Adamida, which is ridiculous in the hindsight, and then only bring in a guy after the transfer window shut. I mean, there's making a mess of a transfer window, and then there's absolutely dousing yourself in gasoline and setting yourself on fire in a transfer window. I mean, absolutely preposterous. And it's put them right behind the 8 ball this season. I mean, Rodgers knew it, Brendan Rodgers knew it, Martin Hill knew it, and now Wilfried Nancy knows it as well. So a striker, and I mean, and all that stuff, but it's a hard window and all that stuff. Celtic should have had a guy, should be a player right this minute who's tied to a fence somewhere near Parkhead that can be unleashed on January the 1st, and in the team to play Rangers on January the 3rd.
You would think so.
Listen, and you can't hear excuses about it's a hard window and all that. It's difficult. You've had 12 months to sort out. Sweet talk somewhere. I mean, as soon as August window collapsed, there should be the list of strikers who potentially could come to the club. 1 or 2 of them, they should be getting wined and dined and taken up in the helicopter rides around Loch Lomond to sweet talk them to get them coming in on at 1 minute past midnight on January the 1st. Right. Because Celtic, it's so needed that they need somebody to come in right away. I mean, I think it was it under Ange Postecoglou's first season, they announced Hatate, Maida, and somebody else. Japanese boys all arrived. The 3rd one. Edeguchi. I mean, New Year's Eve announced arriving tomorrow. Bang, straight in.
No.
That's what's needed. That's what's needed for Celtic for a striker. It's so needed that it's ridiculous.
Do you?
If you don't listen, this kind of Celtic way of it's difficult and we're chasing a lot of things. This isn't going to cut it this window. Whether it's Paul Tisdale and the scouting have identified X, Y, and Z ready to go. Michael Nicholson and Chris Mackay, who are doing negotiations over transfers in the summer, have to get these deals over the line. And you can say whether or not who gives the authorization for certain wages and all that stuff. It might cost them more than usual. But this is what happened in the summer. Paid over the odds for Bartlett and Tanecki. 11 million quid for the 2 of them. Worth it? Arguable. You'd argue it. Tanecki's been decent. Bartlett has been a disaster. This isn't going to cut it. This waiting for answers and negotiating for a week and all that stuff. That's not going to cut it. No. These deals have to be lined up now to go hit the button as soon as the window opens. Because, by the way, there's already an anger on the fans and all that stuff. And I think some of it's over the top, and I think it's some of it's got out of hand.
I agree with that.
A lot of it, I think, as I said right from the summer, a lot of the moans and gripes and complaints and protests are completely valid, and I totally get it. Some of the other stuff way over the top. Yeah. I just think that to do it, to be functioning as a football club, and they've said in the AGM, they made a video thing, they made mistakes and all that stuff. Proofs in the pudding time. They need to get these deals done over the line.
Yeah.
If not, they can wave goodbye to the title, Champions League next year. You want to name it? Ta-ta.
I don't know if you'd agree with this, Mick.
They're the ones that have got the job to do now.
I don't know if you'd agree with this, but the Celtic squad, as it stands right now, with no additions, I don't think wins the league.
No, I don't. I said that. It doesn't because any given Saturday, Celtic have got players who wouldn't get in the opposition team, and that's not been the case for 10 years. I mean, and for 10 years, you could have not a team, there's not a player on the pitch, not a side that would get in that Celtic team. And by the way, including Rangers, maybe one or two on occasions that would get in Celtic's team over the years. But in the main, there's not a player outside that Celtic team who get in the team on any given day. This season, there could be 5 or 6 players. And by the way, I'm not just talking about Hearts and Rangers and anything else. I'm talking about Dundee and Aberdeen and Murn.
No, you're right.
So there's players that can get in that Celtic team. So that's what's leveled the playing field. Celtic have regressed so much that they've leveled their own playing field because of the lack of quality. And listen, and injuries, you've got to give them that the fact of injury. So if you've got a team that's matching up and you get 5 players who are better on the other team, quite often you're going to lose those games. Yeah. If you get 4 or 5 players in your team that wouldn't get no position, then you're going to struggle. So it's not a surprise that they are struggling. I think it's and this current squad doesn't win the league.
You mentioned that the last couple of transfer windows have been preposterous. To make this one coming up preposterous as well, they could replace Kyogo with Kyogo. That's been the speculation over the last few days. He was an unused sub as Birmingham lost 3-0 at the weekend. I think it was to Sheffield United. He's scored once in 21 appearances for Birmingham. That move's been a disaster for him. But I mean, look, personally, I just couldn't see that A, happening, or B, working out. I love Kyogo, amazing player, but surely you've got to get that ship sailed by now. Yeah, listen,
you're talking about replacing Kyogo with an inferior version of Kyogo. I mean, Kyogo now is not the same Kyogo that left, or arguably it was 6 months before that. I think if Celtic Celtic go and get themselves a striker on January the 1st, a 6'2" monster that can score goals, good luck finding that by the way, spend for it. That's what the last we need to do. If they can get that on January the 1st, and it comes to the end of the window, and Birmingham will say, "Listen, this is no happening here. We to do with getting you out on loan for the 6 months, rebuild your confidence," and it's offered to Celtic. At that point, I think Celtic would say, "Yeah, we'll take it," because there's another option. I don't think there's worse options. I doubt it will happen right enough. I think he had done his time in Glasgow. I think he was keen to move on. Yeah. He made it known the summer before that he'd kind of was time to go. So I don't see him coming back unless he thinks that this would be an environment that they could recapture some of his old magic. Then that's the only kind of way. But I suspect that would be later on the window job. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And I don't see where he goes now either. I mean, he's not going to get a English Premier League or Championship team. So you go abroad, he might get. I mean, he's been to France and didn't do particularly great. You think does he go back to Japan? Maybe he might think it's time. He's a good contract at Birmingham, so I suspect it'll be a couple of loan deals. Yeah. And coming out rather than a permanent move. And he is 30 now as well. But if it gets to the last few days of the window and he's offered up on the plate, then of course you take him because Celtic are crying out for attacking options, and he's definitely one of them. And if he does get back and he's a good response, and you think he gets an early goal, you might think, well, this guy could catch fire quite easily and get some of the old magic back. But I just think, okay, I said that on Sunday on Hotline Live, that if you do end up with Kyogo back at the club, it's just basically a hands-up job saying this recruitment department is clueless. Aye. I mean, you look at the January window. I mean, they go the January window. They signed Jota, who basically is banging the door saying, "Can I come back, please?" Right. Despite the fact that I think Brendan Rodgers had misgivings about re-signing Jota. I think he likes him as a guy, as a player, but I don't think he particularly fitted the way he wanted to play. And I think he had I know for a fact he had his eye on different options. That's interesting. I think Nakamura in France was the one I think he wanted for similar kind of fee. Didn't get done. And then Jota was an option. Obviously, he wanted to come back and made it work for France. It's not a bad option to have right enough, but again, not one that's been scouted by the recruitment department. Aye. Like Kieran Tierney. And who's the other signing is Jeffrey Schlupp, a guy who's pals with Kasper Schmeichel and Rodgers knows from down south. Aye. I mean that's the recruitment department's some input in the January window. And you're like, well, what? I mean, excuse me, what's going on here now? You had one job, it was to get a striker, and failed to get a striker. Sold Kyogo. I mean, the deal was that they can sell Kyogo if they buy a replacement. They're still waiting for a replacement. 12 months on. I know, it's mad. Which is genuinely, I mean, unbelievable. It's baffling, eh? So the pressure is on now to deliver. I mean, listen, I know there was the summer. Listen, there's so many factors at play in the summer. I mean, there was players offered up, and the manager wasn't happy with the standard. Which you now look back and think, well, look at the ones that did sign.
Aye.
So what was the level of the guys that were offered up we didn't want to sign?
I know. That's true.
I'm not buying. Don't buy this. Not to sabotage the transfer window. Not.
No.
Why would they do that?
Yeah, exactly. I know.
Why would they do that? I mean, it's utter nonsense. And we've got to do a job in Saudi, so just try to get his exit ticket to get his job at Saudi. What?
Nah, I know.
I mean, Saudi jobs would come up. He got a Saudi job in Saudi any time after.
Whenever he wanted,
But he wanted to finish with a bang. I think he was destined to go, but he said he was staying 3 years. Nobody can go like, oh, there was uncertainty over the manager. He got a 3-year contract. Say he's staying 3 years. I mean, what he's told you he's doing 3 years. But whether he stays or not, give him his 3 years, go out with a bang, or whatever, maximise his final season. So that's our old ground, but I'm just not having the self-sabotage thing because nobody came out that looking good.
That's true. Aye.
So quite what Brendan Rodgers would benefit for knocking back players to cut his own nose off. I mean, beats me. Certainly beats me. But the recruitment department are going to need to have a major window because I mean, Jota and Schlupp arrived in January. No impact from the recruitment department on those two. The summer window was, an absolute bin fire. And now we're approaching a week to go before the window opens. And they should have one of those old-fashioned windows when there's 4 guys with the scarves like on a line, a diagonal line. And the old press pictures with Hoopy the Hound and 4 players with their scarves. So that's something to imagine.
January 1st.
Well, it may just be a few of those kind of lineups that would be raw duds to me, but at least they need to get them in the door with the kind of diagonal line with 5 signings all in a row.
Before we finish, Mick, I want to get your take. It's a few days now, but I want to get your take on Peter Lawwell. We haven't discussed it in the Record Celtic podcast since he announced he was leaving Celtic. I have to say that, you know, like him or loathe him or whatever, I thought the statement was really quite distressing, to be honest, and I felt horrible that a guy that, you know, again, whether you like him or loathe him, he's given a lot to Celtic. And I felt, you know, okay, change might be needed within the Celtic board or what have you. But I just thought it was a shame for it to end that way with Lawwell. Yeah.
Oh, listen, it's the old Batman line. Yeah, die a hero, live long enough to become a villain.
Aye.
I think, some of the treatment of him, I think, has been way over the top. Way over the top. I mean, I think history will be kinder to him in hindsight. Listen, there's guys at Celtic through the years that have left under difficult circumstances and being treated kind of shabbily, and then history kind of looks back on them differently. I mean, you look back at Fergus McCann. Fergus McCann got booed when Flag Day. The one that stopped 10 in a row, and unfurled the flag,
saved the club,
built the stadium, and then get booed. He get booed, unfurling the league flag because was it Wim Jansen that took Huff and left on a perceived penny pinching.
When you think back to it, that is mad.
Yeah, and then I think you look back at Neil Lennon, one of the club's greatest servants, one of the greatest managers, won lots. Probably the one Celtic manager who has performed in Europe for Celtic. I mean, up to last season, I mean, he obviously they got to the knockouts in the Champions League, beat Barcelona, topped a Europa League group, won in Italy. I mean, all these things. So Lenny was chased at the door during the COVID season. I thought the treatment he got was pretty but poor. Right. I think times a healer with that one as well. I think now that is also kind of people now looking back through the kind of prism of time have softened that kind of one as well. But Peter Lawwell took enormous flack that season, left, then come back as chairman, which I thought, I mean, the trick is getting out when the going is good. If Peter Lawwell come back as chairman, win 2 titles under Brendan, whatever. I mean, I know there's tension. We know there's tension between those two. Always has been. But if he left the end of last season, I think history would have been much kinder. But listen, Peter has been in the club for 20 odd years. I mean, CEO for 17, chairman for 2 or 3, board member before that. He's in with the bricks. He's been, in terms of his overall body of work, he's been a brilliant servant for Celtic. I mean, you look at the period of dominance financially off the pitch the club has grown. They've on the pitch, they've wiped the floor with everyone for 15 years.
Yeah.
I think that you can question. I think Europe. I think they missed. I think that the 9 in a row time when Rangers were on their journey back was a complete waste opportunity. I think they had free access to Champions League for 9 years, 10 years, and blew it. Really, I think that was I think in hindsight, they'll look back in that period as been a major missed opportunity to really build and kick on and become a European. I'm not saying a force in Europe, but a more regular. I mean, the fact they only got the Champions League in half of those years was embarrassing. I mean, Ronald Dyler missed out twice. And obviously there was Brendan Rodgers brought him back into it for 3 years, but then obviously another couple of years of missing out. I think too many years missing out on the Champions League during that period was a mistake. And then you look at it, and then again being in a position of power last summer, they're not building on it. But these are things like these are errors over a longer period of time. I think the greater body of work I think has been successful. I think the treatment of them is way over the top. Over the top. I think you can criticise them. I mean, we've all criticised Peter at times. Doesn't particularly like it. He'll be happy with you, and that's absolutely fine. Especially us boys in the media have all been given a tongue lashing at some points, or whatever, or giving it trouble, or having moaned at, or whatever. That's fine because it's opinions. I think it's fine an opinion, but I think some of the kind of personalised abuse has been over the top. So I think history will be kinder to him over time as well. I don't think you'll get to the point now where Fez McCann are now talking about building a statue and naming a stand after him. I don't think you'll get to a point with that with Peter Lawwell, but I think time will be a healer and people look back. Because listen, who knows what happens in the next 20 years? It might be get back to a point when you win the league some years, don't win it some years, and you topsy-turvy, there will be periods of downtime. But I think when you look back and go, that period for 15, 20 years was pretty spectacular.
Aye, no, I agree. Nick, I think that brings to the end of this week's Record Celtic podcast. Have a very good Christmas. I went all blank in my head there, but I have a good Christmas.
And yourself, everyone have a very good Christmas and get tucked into the turkey. Then they're ready for Livingston on Saturday. Absolutely,
Livingston, Motherwell, and Rangers. It's all happening from a Celtic point of view.
I never even got a chance to go with the fact that this is a very dangerous game for Wilfried Nancy because of Livingston, the set pieces and all that stuff, long throws. But either way, it's Livingston away, which is always a Snyder.
It's always brutal. We can talk about it all on the next Record Celtic podcast when we come back. Thank you very much for listening at home. Hope you all have a very Merry Christmas. And Mick, same to you.
Yeah, and yourself, Daniel. Merry Christmas to all our loyal band of listeners whoever we've got. We always appreciate folk tuning in and slaughtering us in the comments.
Aye, absolutely.
It's always good fun. So wish everyone a happy Christmas, and we'll speak to them again shortly.
Absolutely. We'll be back next week. Thanks for listening, and have a good festive break. Cheers.